The seal between an item of respiratory protective equipment, RPE, and a worker's face is most likely to be affected by which two of the following? The wearer's age, dust levels, beard growth, sunlight, wearing safety goggles.
Okay, so for this one, we note beard growth and D. Now again, another top tip, lads, just have a look at what's left, answers left. It makes sense, doesn't it, them two? Remember the other question that can break the seal of the respirator is beard growth and facial scarring.
What should you do if the electrical equipment you are using cuts out? Switch off the power and look for signs of damage. Shake it to see if it will start again. Pull the electric cable to see if it is loose. Switch the power off and on a few times.
So for this one, it's an obvious one. You're going to switch it off, of course you are. It's all safety.
What will safety footwear with a protective midsole protect you from? Nails or sharp objects which could puncture the sole of your foot. Spillages which may burn the sole of your foot. Blisters which could occur in warm, wet conditions. Twisting your ankle as they have better grip than regular shoes.
So again, it's pretty straightforward, common sense one. It's going to stop nails and sharp objects puncturing the sole. So the answer in this case is A.
When using a power tool to cut or grind materials, why should the dust be collected and not allowed to get into the air? A machine guard is not needed if the dust is collected. Most dust can be harmful if breathed in. The tool will go faster if the dust is collected. To save time and avoid having to clear up the mess.
Yeah. So most dust can be harmful when breathed in. Again, it's a common sense one. So that dust can be referred to as either silica dust or silicosis. It's your brick dust. Again, this is why we have to wet cut and stop the dust getting into the air.
Who has a duty to protect an individual from stress at work? The union, the employer, the government, the local authority.
Yeah, straightforward one. Remember what I said? It's 9 times out of 10. The word employer, site manager, supervisor will be the answer, apart from questions like who's responsible for checking tools and equipment. It's you as the individual.
If a power tool has a portable appliance testing PAT label on it, what information should be included on the label? The tool's earth loop impedance. When the tool was made. Who tested the tool before it left the factory? When the tool was last tested.
Nice straightforward one, nice and easy.
What should you do if an extension cable has a cut in its outer cover? Report the fault and make sure that no one else uses the cable. Check the copper wires aren't showing in the cut and then use the cable. Put a bigger fuse in the cable plug. Put electrical tape around the damaged part.
Yes, nice straightforward one. Anytime it's going to be saying stop work report, it's going to be the answers. Remember with this, with an extension cable, and again, I appreciate sometimes this doesn't happen all the time, but for your CSCS test, you have to uncoil the whole length of the extension cable because it can catch a fire in the middle.
Which one of the following is a safe way of moving a mobile access tower? Using manual effort to pull from the top and the base. Using manual effort pushing only from the base. Towing with a site vehicle with a tow rope attached to the top. Towing with a site vehicle with a tow rope attached to the base.
Yeah, straightforward one. Pushing by the base at the bottom.
Being satisfied with your job can lead to what? feeling less happy at work, feeling more stressed at work, feeling unpopular at work, feeling less stressed at work.
Feeling less stressed at work, of course, it's going to be a good positive thing.
In what situation are you most likely to catch Weil's disease, leptospirosis? If you work near air conditioning units. If you drink water from a standpipe. If you work near wet ground, waterways or sewers. If you work fixing showers or baths.
So in this case then, leptospirosis or Weil's disease is caused through rat urine. Early signs of that is influenza flu. So where do rats hang around about? It's near wet ground or waterways. So the answer for that, correct, is C.
What is the main hazard associated with the movement of plant and machinery around site? Drivers getting motion sickness from the movement of the machine. Pedestrians walking too close to moving machinery and being crushed. Members of the public being poisoned by the exhaust fumes. Existing building collapse from vibrations of the moving machinery.
So straightforward one, pedestrians moving too closely and being crushed. That's why we have designated areas for vehicles and pedestrians.
Which of the following is an effective way to avoid causing harm to protected species? Avoiding breeding season. Only working at night. Using manually operated machinery. Take them to the site office.
So for this one then, protected species, we're going to try and avoid breeding season. There's also another question that I can ask you. It'll show you which one of the following two animals are protected. And in the answers, I believe it's ducks, foxes, badgers, rats and bats. The answer for that one is bats and badgers.
When working at height in a mobile elevating work platform, MEWP, over or near to deep water, which item of personal protective equipment, PPE, should be worn? Life jacket, full body harness, full face respirator, Wellington boots.
The answer to this one, whenever working up near water, you've got to have a life jacket on.
Rest areas on site should be equipped with which of the following? Settees and chairs, televisions and tables, seating and tables, seating and radio.
So seating and tables on there. So the welfare facilities also must have hot and cold running water, somewhere to wash and dry your hands, working facilities, and also somewhere to heat and boil water and food.
If the toilets on your site are dirty or do not flush, what should you do? Tell the person in charge of the site about the problem. Try to fix the faulty toilet yourself. See if you can use public toilets nearby. Try not to use the toilets while you are at work.
Yeah, nice straightforward one. You're just going to report to the person who is in charge.
On site, waste should be collected in what? General skips, bins and bays, segregated skips, bays and buckets.
Everything has to be segregated. Just think of bins at home. If you're unsure, stop and go and ask about it. But it's all about saving energy, saving the environment, and stopping things, preventing things going to landfill. And we do that by segregating them into different skips.
Workers are likely to suffer the highest levels of fatigue due to what? Appropriately designed shift work schedules and reduced production targets. Poorly designed shift work schedules and reduced production targets. Poorly designed shift work schedules and long working hours. Appropriately designed shift work schedules and short working hours.
So in this one, the mental health one, so fatigue, it just means tiredness. So having poorly designed shifts and working long hours is going to cause fatigue, tiredness. So I'm going to go with answer C.
What action should be taken if you notice a cylinder of liquid petroleum gas, LPG, is leaking? Deliberately drain the cylinder. Turn the supply off immediately if it is safe to do so. Pour water on the cylinder to keep it cool. Don't report it to anyone except the site manager.
So again, straightforward. If it's safe to do so, you're going to turn it off immediately. Also, the question about the LPG gas bottles. If somebody who's over the other side of a room released the gas bottle and you stood there with a lighter, it's going to flash back to its original source.
Which signal is being shown in this image? Danger. Move backwards. Turn right or left. Move forwards.
Straightforward one. Yeah, it's danger. Stop.
Which of the following best describes an assembly point? Where the employer issues personal protective equipment. A place to assemble in the event of an emergency. The place where an incident could be started. The location that staff should avoid in an incident.
Yeah, nice straightforward one. It's where you're assembling in the event of an emergency.
Which one of the following statements is true of painting wooden ladders used in construction? It is advisable to paint ladders to prevent them being stolen. It is a good idea to paint ladders because this protects them. Ladders should be painted orange to make them more visible. Ladders should never be painted as this could hide defects or damage.
Yeah, so a lot of people still think you can't use ladders on site. You can use ladders on site for short periods of time doing light work. If you do use a ladder, you have to extend the ladder 1 metre above your top. It goes at a 75-degree angle, and the safest way to make sure it's secure is by tying it off at the top. So the answer for this one is D.
If you need to wear disposable foam earplugs, how should you insert them so they protect your hearing from damage? Do not roll or fold them and insert them halfway into your ear canal. Roll them up and insert them while pulling the top of your ear up to open up the ear canal. Soak them in water, squeeze them out, and then insert them into your ear canal. Fold them in half, pull on your earlobe, and wedge them halfway into your ear.
So this one, yeah, it is B. So you're going to roll them and insert them, pull the top of your ear up and insert it into the ear canal on there.
To prevent overturning, when should rear tipping lorries not be used for tipping operations? When on firm, level ground. During redistribution of the load. On uneven or sloping ground. When a competent signaller is supervising.
Yeah, so straightforward one with this one. So lorries tipping or overturning, it's there. Also, common causes of lorries and dumpers turning over is by going around corners too fastly. And also, if you're carrying loads, you have to evenly distribute the load so it's not all to one side.
Which one of the following tasks would require a worker to wear safety Wellington boots to help protect from skin burns? Laying new concrete. Working indoors on fittings. Landscape gardening in the rain. Lifting floorboards.
Yeah, so laying new concrete. The immediate effect of laying new concrete is skin burns. You will eventually end up with dermatitis, which is a skin rash.
Hydrogen sulfide is a gas given off by rotting organic substances. Which two statements are true about hydrogen sulfide? It is dark brown at room temperature. It can cause unconsciousness in a few breaths. It is a harmless natural gas. It is dangerous because it can disable the sense of smell. It can safely be detected by using a naked flame.
So, hydrosulfate will make you unconscious in a few breaths, and it will also disable your smell. Remember the other gases that can be present in confined spaces. You have got your carbon monoxide, which is odourless and colourless. You can't smell it, and it's a deadly killer. That's why we have gas monitor alarms. And your methane gas is highly explosive with a really distinctive smell.
The acronym TILE, T-I-L-E, stands for what? Task, individual, load, environment. Treat, individual, lower, evaluate. Train, individual, lift, environment. Temperature, individual, lighting, evaluate.
So this one, yeah, it's task, individual, load, environment, manual handling. Remember with manual handling, anything involving pulling, pushing, or pulling is manual handling. That also includes wheelbarrows. If you are lifting up above your head height, or you have to twist your body, you run the risk of, you can't lift more than usual. And if you are wearing a support belt, you run the risk of injury exactly the same.
What's the point of the support belt if it's the same risk of injury?
Sorry?
What's the point of the support belt if it's the same risk of injury?
Because it'll support you. You can still get injured with it. Happy?
What should you do if you notice your harness or attachment is damaged? Stop and tell your supervisor, but carry on using it until it is replaced. Use a colleague's harness instead. Stop and tell your supervisor straight away. Use it and tell your supervisor at the end of the day.
Yeah, nice, straightforward, common sense one. You're going to stop and report it. So remember these key words that may be in your answer. So anything that says secure, anchor points, attachment points, always going to be the answer. Designated areas, always going to be the answer. It's there for a reason.
Which one of the following groups needs to be aware of emergency procedures on site? Everyone who is on site. Only the designated first aiders. The directors of the company. Visitors to the site only.
Straightforward. Everybody on site has to be aware of it.
Which of these is the most accurate way to confirm the exact location of buried services? Architect drawings. Survey drawings. Trial holes. Cable plans.
Again, go on there on the trial hole. So remember, your buried services is your gas, water and electric. Your gas, yellow, water is blue. If you are going down in a confined space and you do see the buried services, never stand on them to use them as a ladder. Always use the secured staircase in confined spaces.
What is the best way to stop people falling through voids, holes, or fragile roof panels? Cover the dangerous areas with safety netting and tell everyone to be careful. Mark the dangerous areas with red and white warning tape. Place secure, load-bearing covers over the dangerous areas and add warning signage. Tell everyone where the dangerous areas are.
So this one, you're going to place a secure load-bearing covers, and remember, whenever you're putting signs up or whenever you're putting fencing up or signs up, you have to put warning signs up as well.
Who has legal duties under the Health and Safety at Work, etc. Act 1974? Only self-employed people. All people at work. Employees only. Employers only.
Health and Safety at Work Act, it's a legal requirement in the workplace, so everybody at work has the legal responsibility.
During the site induction, you do not understand something the presenter says. What should you do? Guess what the presenter was saying. Ask the presenter to explain it again. Wait until the end, then ask someone else to explain. Attend another site induction.
If you don't understand something, you're just going to ask what it means, or you're going to ask to be explained again.
If someone is injured at work, who should record it in the accident book? The company contract manager. Someone from the Health and Safety Executive, HSE. The injured person or someone acting for them. The first aider identified on site.
So for this one, it's actually the injured person or somebody acting on behalf of them. Probably will be the first aider, but the answer is the injured person if you possibly can. Now, here is one of the questions where Health and Safety Executive crops up quite often in some of your answers. Never pick Health and Safety Executive, with the exception to 3 questions. One is certain accidents have to be reported to Health and Safety Executive. Second one is if somebody's injured and off work for more than 5 to 7 days, you have to inform Health and Safety Executive. And the other one is if you contract virus disease, that leptospirosis, you have to inform Health and Safety Executive. Any other time, do not pick it.
Who should explain the health risks and safe method of work you need to follow, the COSH assessment, before you start work with a hazardous substance? The site first aider. A Health and Safety Executive, HSE, inspector. Your supervisor or employer. The site security people.
Yeah. So, great example, look, it's cropped up again, but it's not that one because it's the employer or the manager or the supervisor has to explain. COSH, the COSH assessment, whenever you see that and hazardous substances, it's going to be the answer. COSH stands for Control of Substances Hazardous to Health.
After watching you work, a Health and Safety Executive, HSE, inspector, issues an improvement notice. What does you need to improve the standard of your work? You are not working in a safe way. Your work has improved since the last visit. You are not working fast enough.
2 types of notice HSE can issue you. One's an improvement notice. The other one is what's called a prohibition notice. They can't tell you you need to improve your standard of work, but they can tell you you're not working in a safe manner. The other notice that can give you a prohibition notice, it means you're not it means you are not working in a safe manner and they can close you down. Okay?
When selecting suitable personal protective equipment, PPE, for the user, which factors should be considered? Fit and weight, price and size, cost and colour, size and fit.
Straightforward one, you need to look at the size and the fit of it, of course you do.
Which of the following activities does not create harmful silica dust? Chasing out walls and mortar joints or sweeping up rubble. Sawing timber or plywood. Cutting curbs, stone, paving slabs, bricks and blocks. Breaking up concrete floors and screeds.
Yeah. So silica dust, or can be referred to as silicosis, comes off bricks and mortar. So anything that's involving brick and mortar will create that silica dust. Timber, wood or plywood is not that, so that is going to be the answer.
Which of the following is bad practice when organising site transport? One-way systems for vehicles. Limiting the speed of vehicles on site. Barriers to keep pedestrians away from mobile plant and vehicles. Pedestrians and mobile plant using the same routes.
So with these, a top tip is really to read the questions properly, because if you just skim read them, you might just miss that bad out there, and you might just see what's the practice of sight, and you might just think it is keeping pedestrians away from vehicles and mobile plants. No, that is good practice. So, of course, you have designated pedestrian and mobile plant routes. The reason you have one-way systems for vehicles is to prevent reversing.
What is an advantage of adopting safe manual handling methods? You can leave work earlier that day. You can increase your strength and lift heavier loads. You can lift heavier and awkward loads more often. You can protect your back, reducing the risk of injury.
Yeah, so with this one, you know, you've got to keep yourself safe, so you've got to protect your back from reducing this, reducing injury.
The use of respiratory protective equipment, RPE, is most likely required in which environment? Where work at height is being carried out. Where there is dust or fumes. Where heavy manual labour is required. Where there is excessive heat.
So remember, yeah, the answer is B. So respiratory protective equipment, or RPE, it's your respirators. We had a question earlier on what can break the seal of it, because it has to go around your face. Another thing as well, when you get the face fit test, is you do not have to submerge it in water to make sure it's working correctly.
How can excessive noise levels affect your hearing? Give 2 answers. Hearing improvement. Ear infections. Temporary hearing loss. Permanent hearing loss. Dizziness and nausea.
With these type of questions, read them, drag whatever you think the answer is at first, and then have a look at it. So, what's going to affect your hearing? Right, with the excessive noise. So, you're going to have temporary hearing loss, aren't you? Let's have a look at that one. So, we'll drag that across. Permanent hearing loss and dizzying noise. Let's drag that one across there. So, temporary and permanent loss. Have a look at the 3 questions that's left. They don't really look right, do they? So for that, I'm going to stick with the permanent and temporary loss.
Which of the following can be an indicator of stress? Increased productivity. Inability to deal with usual workload. Feelings of confidence at work. Feeling valued at work.
Straightforward one, yeah, the inability to deal with unusual workload, will cause stress.
Identify which of the following is best suited for accessing an excavation. A step ladder. A secured ladder. A harness and pulley. A cherry picker.
So with this one, excavation, you're going into a hole, confined space. Mentioned before, anything that's got secured, designated, anchor points, pickets, it's there for a reason. Okay? Remember, with it going into excavations, you have to have a permit to enter at all times.
Why is it important to wash your hands after handling lead or lead-based paint before eating or smoking? It can transfer to your mouth and make your breath smell bad. It can transfer to your mouth and taste bad. It can transfer to your mouth and is toxic. It can transfer to your mouth and can be addictive.
So lead, yeah, it is a hazardous substance, so it can transfer to your mouth because it's toxic. Lead-based paint, there's another question you could be asked where it'll say what is a way of getting lead poisoning, and it's by sanding down old paintwork. That's because they used to use lead-based paint.
You are carrying out a noisy work activity and realise that it cannot be finished within the normal working hours of your site. What is the first thing you should do? Stop work and inform site management so they can look at the impact of the activity. Visit the neighbours of the site to tell them what you will be doing. Ensure you are wearing appropriate hearing protection before you resume work. Carry on so that you can finish doing the job as soon as possible.
So this is another nice straightforward question where the key words there, stop work and inform people straight away or immediately, always going to be the answer. If you come across questions where it'll say things like your time's run out, or your method statement or your risk assessment has run out in time, or you haven't got the right equipment, or your working hours are down, right, you cannot adjust them. Get out, even if it's a confined space, stop what you're doing, go and report it. Do not amend them.
When is it safe to cross a fragile roof? At any time, as long as you walk along the line of the bolts. Only when you can see fragile roof signs. Only if you do not walk on any plastic panels. When crawling boards with handrails are available to use.
Few questions will ask you various different things, like fragile roofs, live wires, asbestos. Always assume things are unsafe. Always assume things are fragile. Always assume wires are live until a competent person has told you otherwise. Once you have to put control measures in place. So your control measures in this case is going to be crawling boards and handrails that's available. Any category that says authorised, trained and competent, pick it. Sometimes it'll have all three in there. Sometimes it might just say competent, authorised or trained. Pick whatever it comes up with there. It's always going to be the answer.
What should you do if you see this label on a container or packaging? Do not use the substance as it is poisonous. Use the substance very carefully to avoid spills or splashing it on yourself. Find out what protection is needed, as make sure the substance is stored out of the reach of children.
So in this case, red and white triangles, right? They're all like a warning sign, corrosive, toxic. So in this one, you need to not use the substance because it is poisonous. So the answer is actually A. It's not C. There are a couple of little other questions you may be asked on this one, where you get a picture of it like a test tube. That's corrosive. There may be a picture of a dead fish in the background. That is danger to the environment. So in this case, don't use it. It could be poisonous.
You have been injured in an accident at work and, as a result, are absent for more than 7 days. Which two of the following actions must be taken? Your employer must inform the Health and Safety Executive, HSE. The local hospital and the benefits office must be informed. The emergency services must be called to find out how the accident happened. You must pay for any first aid equipment used to treat your injury. The accident must be recorded in the accident book.
So if there's an accident, you've got to report it, haven't you? It's got to go in the accident report book. So let's just drag this one across. Now, somebody's going to be off more than 5 to 7 days. Remember I said about Health and Safety Executive comes up quite often. Never pick it except for 3 questions. This is one of the questions you'll pick it. Remember the other 2 will be if certain accidents have to report it to Health and Safety Executive, and the other one is if you contract Weil's disease, leptospirosis, it has to be, you have to inform Health and Safety Executive.
Someone working in a deep inspection chamber has collapsed. What should you do first? Ask someone to find your supervisor while you try to rescue the worker. Raise the alarm and stay by the inspection chamber, but do not enter. Climb into the inspection chamber and give first aid treatment. Get someone to lower you into the inspection chamber on a rope.
So with this one, deep inspection chamber or confined space, you have to have a rescue team in place. Never enter it. only authorised, competent and trained people will enter it. If it does happen, you're then going to raise the alarm. Never enter it because the rescue team will be there to enter.
If a power tool being used on site needs refuelling several times a day, where should the fuel be stored? Close to the tool. In the designated fuel store. Outside the perimeter of the site. In a site vehicle.
So with this one, keyword and designated, it's always going to be the answer. Designated because it's there for a reason. So once you get to your 50, just click next. In here, just make sure it's all clear. Some of the questions you may have flagged. Some may flag up as red and say unanswered. Sometimes you forget to answer them, so go back to them, make sure. Now, if you have a look at the time, I've waffled on quite a lot there. You've got 9 minutes left. You've got plenty of time for your test, so take your time. Once you've finished, you need to end your test 3 times. So you'll go end test. A pop-up button will come up. End test again. And once you end it for the 3rd time, you will get your results there and then. 49 out of 50, and I'm going to tell you exactly which one that I got wrong on there. Right, was the corrosive sign. So it was the toxic. I realised as soon as I moved forward from there. So when you go continue, I'm going to go review, and I'm going to show you the one that I got wrong. It is answer C, not A. I can remember it. So I picked A. The answer is C. Okay, but that is a pass.